Hi, friend, and welcome. I'm Shanice. Thank you for joining my podcast, Express Light. I believe we each have a unique gift and ability. Being created by nature, I have the desire to start my own business, and I know firsthand how important it is to blend creativity and business together. It has not always been easy for me, but I have successfully built my boutique serving people from all over the world. Because of my experience, I am passionate about helping others like myself who are looking to express light in their own lives through their gift, skill, or talent, and make a living doing it. If that's you, tune in each week as I provide tips, interview those who are successful in their craft, as well as share enlightening stories of how to build a business as a creative entrepreneur. Welcome to Express Light. Hey everyone, this is Marilee. Thank you so much for joining me with Express Light podcast, where I love sharing the owners' stories who have started their small business. And today I'm joined with Shanice Miller, and she is a business productivity consultant. She helps small startups to multi-million-dollar businesses save hundreds of thousands of dollars and hours by doing less. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to share with my listeners your story, how you started your passion, and then really what it means for you. So I'm just going to ask you first off, where did this all begin in your adventure of starting this Do Less?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me, Mary Lee, onto your show. I am so humbled and happy to be here. And so, where it all started was really as a kid. I watched my dad go from being an employee at his job to getting certifications, going to school at night while working that job, to trying to get side work as well. Then that side work becoming more than what his job was paying for. So he was able to transition fully out of his job, quit that job, and start working for himself, to getting employees, to building his business to a 7-figure business, only for all of that to go crashing down to zero because of his declining health. And it really made me see the world a lot differently. And I was younger at this time. I watched all of this go up, and his health declined pretty rapidly. He was a very healthy guy, but it declined within a matter of 4-year time span. And so I really saw like things can just happen. They can pop up, that you can have certain freak incidents that no one can really explain why it happened. Doctors can't necessarily always help you. And it's like, how are you going to set yourself up so that you can still have a quality of life, even though you're going through these situations? And that's what really made me and showed me that systems, automations, making sure you have a business that can run without you, that you're not the bottleneck in, though that experience showed me how important that is.
Don't you love, there's such an aspect of having like a sudden impact moment, and I relate with you a little bit on that because I've also lost my father. I've lost my brother as well.
Sorry
And
to
it's
hear
just
that.
crazy when you go through circumstances, your world changes, like you get a different
Yeah.
perspective of life. And for me, I kind of had that same path thought process. I really loved what I learned from my father and my brother as far as like being an entrepreneur and that type of thing, and I'm sure that was the same for you.
Yes.
What were some of the things that you specifically learned from your dad that really infused, what doing less meant to you?
Yes, I think that's a really great question. My dad was a big component of working hard. So he was one of those hard workers. I don't think he ever thought that he would have to stop working. I think he just thought he was one of those guys who would want to work until he died. And so, like, I know for many of us as well, we think like our business is our baby. We're going to continue it on. We're going to pass it down to our kids. That was definitely his idea. So just those thoughts around working hard, um, making your own path. Those were some of the other things. Always keep trying, do your best. Those were big things, proponents that he always stressed, making sure that you had a clean job site, you had a systematic approach to things. So he was, in a way, showing me the systems for things, but sometimes what you know for your craft and the systems that you have in place to do your job, to do good work, it's not necessarily the systems that they're not the same systems that you would have when you are running a business.
Right.
And so I ended up learning like, okay, you can be really great at your craft. You could be in your zone of genius. You can rock it out there. But if you're going to be a business owner, there are certain systems you have to have in place so that business can run without you.
100%. And I think every startup starts to figure out that, okay, I don't know all the systems, I don't have it all in place. And then you start to get overwhelmed in a sense. And so if you're talking to the startup, what are, maybe 3 things that you would kind of outline to suggest that where they could begin to start
Mm.
honing in on, just releasing some of that extra stuff that they don't really have to do, that they can
Yeah.
maybe hand out to someone like you as well.
So I know that in business, there are different tiers that we go into. So, like a startup, sometimes people will say a startup is someone who hasn't made any money before. Or a startup can be like you've made less than a certain amount. So it's different tiers of where you are in business. I would say first, find something that works. If you know that each time you are doing this one particular thing, like really go in and measure what is it I'm doing day after day that's working. Okay. And then after I find that what I'm doing day after day that's working, then list out the steps, record yourself, write down on a Google document or a sheet of paper. Okay, every time I'm doing this, I am doing step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's really the start to having processes, having systems, so that if you aren't able to go into work, you can say, hey, I need you to step in for me. I have the task written down for you. Just go into this notebook and you can go ahead and do these things. But since my dad didn't have those things written down, it wasn't any kind of transfer of knowledge that anyone can do. It was all in his head. And that's what I see all too often, that we have all of our systems and processes all in our heads. Even when we hire someone, we think like, oh, this person should just go and know exactly what I want them to do, or they should just freestyle it and I'll let them take over and they should be able to run the business successfully. But we all need a blueprint or a guideline, something that tells us like, hey, this is a structure around the way of how we're looking for something to be pretty uniform so we can deliver that same quality and same level of quality that the person's expecting whenever you provide it. But you can also allow people to put their own spin on things. But as long as they have something to get them started with, that's really the main thing. And then you can go on from there and improve upon it.
Now, I love especially the idea of writing it down because it's so true. We all have it in our mind. And I think the same
Mhm.
thing. And really, when it comes to like, you never know whether it's a spouse. I mean, sometimes spouses are involved in your business, sometimes they aren't. And if you don't have like something written down and something happens to you, where does that spouse? I mean, you're leaving a lot on their shoulders to try to pick up the pieces. And so I love the idea of like making a list or keeping notes and that kind of thing. Do you have a story of, maybe working with a young mom or one of the first people that you worked with or whatever that kind of just highlights, what it really feels like to go through the process and kind of get used to really organizing yourself in a sense?
Yeah, so I have a ton of people who come to me and they'll say, like, I really don't have any systems in place. I don't have any processes. I have none of that written down. I've been kind of scrappy. I'm just servicing clients. They're coming to me really quickly. Now I feel like I'm getting burnt out, or I feel like I'm taking on too many clients. I don't have enough capacity to take on more clients, and I want to automate my workflow. I want to automate my business. I want to get out the weeds of having to do a whole onboarding process, or I want to make sure that every time my books get recorded correctly, because that's a big thing as well, doing paperwork and doing books. So what they come and we talk first to see exactly what it is you need. Because depending on where you are in business, what you already have set up, we want to make sure that you are getting exactly what you need. And the first step is to have a clear vision of where you want to go. And so we do a 90-day action plan that we do first to say, like, okay, where do you see your business going? Where are you currently? Let's start measuring those things out for that vision so that we can reverse engineer it and break it up into smaller pieces and say, okay, these are the things we need to do each day to accomplish this goal into this future plan. Then we start, after they tell me exactly what systems that they already have set up, if any at all, after we go through some of their processes, just a really quick walkthrough, then my team goes into the background and they install everything for you. So you don't have to necessarily learn or try to figure out all the features, because that was another thing people would say, oh, we get so bogged down. I don't know what software to use. We recommend the best software for where you are. We can work with the certain softwares that you have, but we really take what we know has worked in the past for other 6 and 7 figure business owners that we've worked with, and we install it into your particular space. So a lot of people don't think that they can automate a whole onboarding process. The same stuff that you do for each person, they'll say, oh, it's custom for each person. So when we start talking to them and saying, okay, it can be custom, but we can also add some standards, some criteria, they go, oh, I never knew that. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, I don't have to send this same email 50 times anymore. And
Right.
so it cuts down so much on so many emails, so many tasks and clients slipping between the cracks. I know how many times have we gone out to talk to a client on the phone just for us to say we're going to send the proposal and then forget to send the proposal, or you're sending it in late, or you're taking an hour to do each custom proposal. So we really streamline those things so that you can get out of those weeds and really serve and work with your clients that are really you're going to be able to provide them the best solutions.
Really what you do is you free up the business owner to be able to focus on what they're good at. And that's,
Yes.
I mean, that's only going to improve your business overall exponentially, because you
Yes.
work on sales, you can work on your strengths with your employees, you have so much more opportunity when you
Yeah.
free up those weeds, like you call them.
It is. And I mean, and just that feeling that you can let it go and it's not all on your shoulders anymore. That's another thing. And I think my dad had that issue with control as well, wanting to control the whole business, to not let go of it, to not let someone to maybe possibly take over it, or, take your idea and run with it. But it's just like, this is your business. You can show other people, you can break it down into certain sections. So only certain people are open and can see your procedures for marketing, and other people will only see your procedures for the client work, client services. So you don't have that worry about like, oh, what if someone steals my business or anything like that? They only know certain pieces, and they're different people who are in different areas. So it's a check and balance type of thing, but really being able to release that control, to trust others that they're going to do right by us and that they can get the job done. They're not going to try to sabotage our particular business or anything like that. And so those are things that I had to learn myself as well. And I believe a lot of business owners do too, just letting go control, being able to delegate to free up the time, and being able to trust that when you are gone, it will still work perfectly fine.
So true. And I'm sure that you have seen some, great examples of people that have increased their revenue just by doing less. And I'm sure
Yes.
you could kind of share even on that point too. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
some success stories. Yeah.
A lot of times I see people going back and forth. They're like, it's this big, disorganized, chaotic type of environment they have, even with employees, even with 7-figure businesses. I work with one particular client, and he was just like, I hired an employee, they don't do anything. I was just like, what do you mean they do nothing? What are the outlines that you're giving them? Oh, they do nothing. I
They know
hired
their
them.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I say all of that to say that when we are hiring people, and because we are investing in employees, that is a big investment that we're making. And if we don't have those guidelines down for them to do, we are wasting money. We're wasting time because we have to continually train them and tell them exactly what it is we want them to do, versus them already having a set of some trainings or a guideline as to what they need to do step by step. Then they can go off on their own. They can revisit that. And then if they have any questions, they can ask you, but it completely cuts down on the training amount of time. It cuts down on unproductivity time, because a lot of times people will say, oh, the employee's just twiddling his thumbs. And it's just like, well, he's twiddling his thumbs because he doesn't quite know what's next. But when we install those particular systems, there is a standard that takes the person through it, and they tell them, okay, this is what you do first. This is what you do after that. This is what you do after that. And then you, as a business owner, when you hire someone new, you're afraid of, is this person doing it? Are they on task? So we create this nice dashboard that gives you that overview so you can micromanage without being the micromanager, and see exactly where is this person in the process. What have they already completed? What have they not completed, without having to ask them?
Well, and I'm sure with the dashboard, what's also nice about that is they still kind of feel like they have a little bit of control too. They can see the process themselves.
Yes.
Um,
And they
um,
can check to make sure no client goes between the cracks because, you're always worried, like, is my client going to be happy about this product? But you're seeing that back end, you're seeing what they're working on. You're like, oh, okay, now I can see that the client's happy. And we can add that review step for you to review it before it gets sent off to the client.
Right, they're seeing the results take place, so
Yes.
love it, and I'm sure that, you may have tips because I have a lot of listeners that are also moms as well, so if you were gonna
Mhm.
also give, tips to the startup that might be a mom in the process, what are some things that she could do just in the beginning part of her career to, like, start off, well, in other words?
Well, for moms, ask for help.
So true, always have mentors.
Ask for help. I mean, ask for help with the kids, ask for help when you're feeling tired. I know, like, I would go in and I'm like working, and getting overwhelmed. And I noticed that when I kept working through feeling overwhelmed, thinking I can just push past that barrier to get to the next level, I wasn't productive. And
Right.
so taking a step back, taking that breath, giving myself a clear mind to think sometimes really changed everything. I kept asking myself, how can I do less? And I think that's what working moms do. How can I do less? Because a lot of times I understand that there's sometimes like a guilt that's away from the kids and the family. And there's like this want and desire to have a successful business, to have it all. And that can be very overwhelming. So asking yourself, how can I do less? How can I do less with my kids? How can I do less in my business? Being able to delegate the tasks that you have for your kids as well as delegating tasks that you have for your business. Those are all things so that you can spend more quality time with your kids. If you're not doing their laundry, you can be playing with them during that time. So just delegating some of those tasks that maybe you don't need to be involved, or even with having your kids help you do the laundry with them. That can be a quality time experience together. But just starting off, get started.
Mm.
Because I see a lot of people, they're waiting for the perfect moment, or they're waiting for something, all the stars to align. And it's just like, get started, go down a path, figure out something that you want to do, go down that direction, put a certain time limit on there. And then if you start to see some growth, continue those things. It's all about consistency and discipline whenever you're starting a business. And I'm sure when you have your kids as well, consistency and discipline.
Very true. And it's just, when you have that time management and you make those lists and you block out your time frame, it definitely keeps that consistency rolling for you because you see the picture. And in really, that's essentially what you do. You help people see the picture of what their business structure looks like. And
Yes.
then in that, you pull out the segments that, okay, we can close this gap and you have more time over here. And I just love what you do. It's so rewarding, I'm sure, for you to see the success as they grow their revenues because they're able to focus their time and their energy in their strength of their business themselves and their role. Shanice, it's been wonderful having you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm sure I'll have you again as well. And everyone, if you would like to learn from Shanice, definitely check out the Do Less podcast with Shanice Miller. She's wonderful. You can find her online as well. And also message me if you'd like more information. But again, Shanice, thank you so much for joining me. And then it's been great to have you.
Thank you so much, Mary Lee. I had a pleasure.